Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to talk about the errors that you are going to get from FlutterFlow. And actually, I made like three categories of errors. And like the first one will be in-code errors, which are marked with underline red into the code IDE itself, and I'll show you what I mean. And the second ones are actually the run mode, test mode errors. So if you pass this, so this is like the first layer. If you pass this first layer, then you get to the second error, which you can get errors from there. And then the third layer is actually the DevTools errors. Those like the invisible ones, that I'm calling them the invisible errors, and they are actually a little bit hidden, and I think most of the user don't know that they actually exist at all. And this is like the third layer, so the third layer. So like this is the first layer, the second layer, and this is the third layer. And finally, we'll talk about other errors like the gray screen and the red screen. So let's begin. I actually created this. I don't know, maybe it's hard to see on the it's hard to see on the white screen, but I actually create this uh, text titles on the left corner. I hope it's over here. I hope it's useful for everyone which want to jump on the action. So let's begin with in-code errors. So talking about in-code errors, I'm talking about the errors that you can get in the IDE itself. So let's go to like some custom action that I already created. And if I go to the top, let's say for example the PDF one. So this is a complex one. I actually upgraded it a little bit, but it's still not working as I intended, but I'll show you what I mean. And then here, when you first open the IDE, you will probably see what I see, which is the code analyzer itself. So before actually we begin, we continue, I actually recommend you to watch this video. If you haven't watched it already, Mastering Custom Code in FlutterFlow, the essential guide, which is it will be very useful because you get the basics. Uh, and I'll leave a link to this video in the description as well. So when you first land in this page, you will actually, like I am right now, you'll probably see that the code analyzer is not running. Reopen this page to restart it. But actually, this is not correct. You don't need to reopen the page. What I actually do is just hide the settings, because those on the right side panel are actually the action settings in my case, because I'm actually I'm at an action, but it could be a widget settings as well. So widgets and action are working the same way. Let me just restart that real quickly. And then if I hide the settings, you actually notice that the code analyzer is reloading again. And now it says that it's checked and you don't see any errors right now, which is great. But the problem is that it is actually still not working. So when you see the check mark over here at the time of the recording of this video, you need to actually wait a little bit and actually to start working. And how I'm checking that, so how in earth I know that the code analyzer is actually working and I don't get any errors in my code. What I do is my strategy is that I actually write string and some random name of the variable, and then I'll equal this to a number, to an integer. So if I do this and the code analyzer is working correctly, I will actually see the error. So we're talking about this error over here, which is the error that it's underlying the text or the code that we have, and this underline red. Yeah. So now you see that while I was talking, the code analyzer actually went off again. So it says code analyzer is not running. Reopen this page to restart it. So unfortunately right now, FlutterFlow it's not working the way I want it to work, because the IDE it's constantly the code analyzer, sorry, it's constantly going on and off. And if I write code, I will not be able to see if the code that I'm writing is correct one or not. So just keep in mind, keep on watching if this is checked or not. And if the cloud it's like that, then of course it's not working. So I have to do the same thing. So I have to show and then hide the settings. You can actually show it and it will work as well, but I hide it. In my case, I'm always hiding it because I actually need the extra space. I don't need the right side of the code. So right now you can see that it says that the code analyzer is up and running, but it isn't, because this is not showing an error. It should show an error in order to know that it's actually working. So keep that in mind. As I said, when you actually see errors in your project, I will actually suggest to write like a string and then random string name like demo or something like that. It doesn't really matter the name, and then you see the errors. And right now you can actually, this is common also when you see errors, but not only the errors that you know here, but you also see errors from your other part of your code. And I know that those errors are not correct. So sometimes, as you can see, there you need to wait. Like according to my estimates, you need to wait like 20 or 30 seconds in order to actually the code analyzer to actually work properly. So first, when you actually see the code analyzer it's working, you still need to wait like 20-30 seconds. And like I said, how you will know that the code analyzer it's actually working the right way is to write like a string, random string name, variable name, and then you will assign an integer and then actually get this error. A value of type integer cannot be assigned to a value of type string. So now I know that the code analyzer it's actually working, and you can leave that over here to know like to be like an indicator if the code analyzer is actually working or not. Unfortunately, this is the state of FlutterFlow right now, so I'm using this, like I said, in order to know if it's actually working or not. Because if I, for example, now I have this A4 format, if I click dot and then control space, I should be actually see all the formats that are available. If the code analyzer is not working, then you will not see that. So now I can choose that was A4, for example. Now I can choose A5, for example, and it should work. I should not see any errors. It's actually working a little bit. You can see it's not perfect right now. It's working a little bit like strange, so to say. But that's why I'm doing this video in order to know that, in order to show you how you can actually overcome this issue. And if I click right now dots and click control space as well, you can actually see those auto completions, and those are names. So those are random names that are actually coming from your code, and this is not, the code analyzer is not working, and it's actually not showing the formats. As you probably can see, you can go back and you can actually see the difference The difference before was that I was seeing A3, A4, A5, A6, and so on and so forth. And here at the beginning, you were actually right now you're seeing ABC, and before that you were seeing some other icon. So I would just restart the code analyzer again, uh, and then you should be able to see the difference. So if I click OK, now it's actually run super fast, and it's loaded like in 2 seconds. But yeah, you can see the difference. Before that was a ABC, which is actually a text from your current custom code, and that was extracted. But right now, those are actually properties of the class. So if I click, for example, A4 and then go with the mouse, you should be able to see what is this. In this case, you can see that this is coming from the PDF page format, and it's A4, and the type it's PDF page format, and the package, you can actually see the package that is coming from, and the source that this is coming from. And the package is PDF, source PDF, and then page, and it's gone again, so it's not working again. Sometimes it's work good, sometimes it's working bad. But yeah, now you probably know how you can. I will actually leave that over here, and when I see that there is not the red line underline this, I know that the code analyzer is not working, and I will just make it like this. So I will hide the settings and show the settings again. But yeah, this is about how you can actually check that if the code is actually working or not. And you can see right now, as I said, they are showing errors, but it's actually those are not errors, and if we wait a little bit, they will be gone, like I said. And then the second layer, if you pass this layer, so if you don't get any errors, like I am not getting right now, we should wait a little bit probably. Yes, you can see over here, I'm not getting any errors at all. The second layer, it's actually the run mode test mode. So talking about run mode test mode, we're talking about most of the times when you actually get these errors on the run mode and test mode and run mode, you actually get them because of some package, because you're using a package, or and the package is not compatible, for example. But let me show you what I mean. So I will show you two photos, and then I will tell you what I mean. So first of all, the first photo actually is that when you run test mode or run mode, you can actually get this error, which is build failed, and it says that error loading project for test mode. There may be configuration issues in your project. Please check your project issues for more info. For additional details, we recommend downloading your code and run the project locally. If the issue persists, please reach out to support. So if you actually get this error, I mostly get this error when I have like my run mode running like this right now. And then if I actually change something in my code, and the code is not working anymore. So for example, if I change this to some rubbish, something like that, of course the code will not work anymore because this is nothing, this is nonsense. And if I instant reload my project right now while it is running, I'm in the test mode, I will actually get this error. So keep in mind, this is the error that you will get. So let me try and show you what I mean. If I save right now this, and if I instant reload this project, I should get this error. Because like I said, in theory, this is not working, and I should get an error like that. And the other error that we get while this is still loading, is it still loading? Yeah, okay. And the other error that you get is actually this error over here, which is when you're actually building your test mode or on run mode. This in this case is a test mode, but it could be a run mode. It doesn't matter. I think both ways you get error like this. If it's a test mode or run mode, I should be able to see the same error. Sometimes actually I actually saw this kind of error. So I saw this error, and then when I run the run mode, it was actually more defined errors. So errors with some more information in it. So if you get this kind of error, which is not very informative, this kind I mean, and if you get this error in run mode or test mode, I recommend you to try the other mode. So for example, if you get this error in test mode, try run modes and see if you get more information like the error over here. You should be able to see the red box over here with the more information about the error itself. And then here is actually, you see that this is actually what you see. In my case, the last instance failed. Please ensure there are no project errors and try again. That is actually because of this code, of course. If I actually write A4, because I know this is A4, and if I save it and instant reload it, I should be able to actually load the project now, because I made it. I reverted back to how it was working. So the ideal way is to get this error, as I said, which is the detailed error with the red box over here. If you get this error, please review the error and actually see which line of the code it is failing. And I would recommend you, if you're not a coder, if you're not a developer, you can actually save your code somewhere. So for example, because let's assume that I have only those three custom codes, I will actually save my entire code to some other place, and then delete the code and see from where this is actually coming from. And then when I know which code is causing the error, then you can actually post in the community, this is my code, this is the error that I'm getting, can you actually help me? I think this is the best way. Or you can of course ask ChatGPT, for example, or use the community. I would recommend you use the community because ChatGPT, it's actually sometimes it's not working the way that it was intending. But yeah, so this is the second type, as I said, the run mode and test mode errors. And when you actually bust this run mode and test mode errors, you actually get to the third layer of errors, which is the DevTools errors. And the DevTools errors, I hope I only have 2 minutes. I hope they are enough. If not, I will have to restart it. Yeah, probably they are not enough because I have only 1 minute right now. But yeah, the DevTools, the idea of the DevTools errors are that the errors are not actually shown in the app itself, but they're actually shown in the DevTools itself. And those are some errors, but those are actually like normal errors, so to say. You can actually see on the right, probably, I don't know if you can see it, but they're like from Google Analytics errors, which are not related to the project itself. I think this is a FlutterFlow errors and not your project. So what I'm trying to say is that those errors will always come up. You don't need those errors. So what I would recommend you first is that to keep actually the errors, to save the errors. So let me restart. So first of all, open the DevTools. I open my DevTools with F12. If you don't actually have F12, and I have one laptop that don't have F keys, you can actually open it with Control Shift and J, J like Jamaica. You can open it like that as well. So, or you can open it with right click, but I think this right click over here in FlutterFlow, it's not actually working. So the only two ways to open it is with F12 or Control Shift J. And then this is the console. This is what I'm talking about. Those are the errors, as I said, that the default errors. Don't look at them. You can actually clean the console from using this button. And then the most important part is that console, you should go to console settings, which is on the right side over here, and then click on preserve log. Preserve log actually will help you to preserve the log. Even if you refresh the page, the log that you see over here will be preserved. This is very useful not only for FlutterFlow, but I think for all websites that you are using. So I always recommend you, and I totally recommend you to actually preserve the log. Because if you get the errors over here and you accidentally refresh this page, you actually keep on seeing the errors. If you actually close the DevTools and then open it again, the errors will be still preserved, I think. But yeah, so the other important thing about the DevTools errors is that I recommend you to actually load the DevTools before the project is loaded or after the project is loaded. But what I'm trying to say is that when the actual project is loaded, just click clear console uh, to know that all the errors that are coming, they're coming actually from your project and they're not like extension errors or page related errors or FlutterFlow related errors or Flutter related errors. So I will just pause here and I will wait for the test mode to load and then we'll continue. So it finally loaded. Um, And I don't know why, but actually the run mode loads super slow, like I waited more than 10 minutes, I think, and now you can see that it's expiring 2 minutes, less 2 minutes, and I waited like 10 minutes to load. But I hope the time will be enough. They said, FlutterFlow actually said that the loading time will be increasingly better with the last update. This is worse for me. I don't know what do you think? If you have actually, you can actually let me know in the comments. But what I was trying to say is that when you actually first load it like that, you actually see a bunch of information over here or messages. You actually don't need them. Actually have to instant reload, sorry about that. But what I'm trying to say is that, so, okay, now I have 12 minutes at least. But what I'm trying to say that right now, if I instantly reload it, because I preserved the log, I still see all the messages. And I have to actually clear those messages when the app loads, but I have to wait now for the app to load again. Now it actually froze for some reason. Actually, this is from the new update. I think the new update made it worse. I'm sure about it. And now I try to refresh because I don't think that this is supposed to happen. I don't think that the loading line over here is supposed to froze. But okay, I mean, it's like 3 times or maybe more worse than it was actually was before the upgrade, before the update. Okay, so now finally the test mode loaded. I have 7 minutes left this time. And let's see. So what I was trying to say, as I said, is clear the console right now. Go to the page that you have problems with. Clear the console again. Go to the page that you have problems with. And then I have problem with this page, for example. This is the page that I have problems with. Clear the console now again, and then I have problem with this. Actually, when I click it, I should be able to download the file and actually save the file to Fire Storage Cloud. And if I click this button over here, you can actually see that I'm getting an error. And this error is actually, first of all, I have a print which you can see your prints, which I think they're useful. If I go over here, you can actually see this is the print on line 35. I have print bytes, and if I go over here, this is actually the print bytes, which is actually returning me an empty array, and it should not return me an empty array. But if you go on the right, there is Dart SDK. If you click on this file, you should be able to see where this is coming from. But in this case over here, it's not actually showing you because it's actually combining this file, the whole FlutterFlow, in one big file. So it's not very very helpful. But what you can actually do, if you have a print, if you want to debug something, I will actually do get this inside an array, which is with those without braces, not curly braces, but without braces. And then I have 35, which is the line number over here. And then I have the bytes, what I actually want to print. And in this case, if I do it like that, I should be able to see over here 35 and then the empty array. So I know that this is coming from this print over here. But because I have only one print, I already know that this is coming from there. And this is the actual error. The first line over here is the actual error. So in my case, I have the error range error index out of range, no indexes are valid, no. This error is actually a very simple error, and the reason for this error is that I am trying to actually use the bytes over here, but I cannot actually use the bytes because I have an empty array and I don't have any bytes, and that's why I'm getting this error. But if you actually go under, you can actually see dart. I'm not sure if you can actually see it. I don't know if I can zoom a little bit. Yeah, I can. I think I can zoom it. So you can actually see dart here. But if you go down, and the custom code in my case is a custom action, and the name of the custom action is PDF invoice download. And if I go over here, you actually should be able to see PDF invoice download. It's actually the first instance of it, because there are actually two, as you can see. Maybe you have more than two, but when you see the first one, and you actually, this is the actual file that the actual error is coming from. I mean, it looks like a lot here. It looks like a lot. But what you can actually search for is the name of the actual custom code that you are using. And then if I click over here, you should wait a little bit and you should be able to see the actual file. And this is the actual file, and this is where the actual error is coming from. So it's coming from PW memory image. So it's coming from memory image, and the reason, as I said, this is coming, this error it's showing is because the bytes are empty array, and it should not be an empty array. And now at least I know that in my case, because I'm trying to get an asset image, and now I know that this is actually, it's not getting the asset image, and that's why I'm getting an empty array as bytes, and that's why I'm getting this error. So keep in mind, if you actually click on a button or do whatever on your app and then you don't see any errors, this is where you have to search for the error and and try to fix it, or at least see where is it coming from. And if you cannot fix it, you can always post this in the community. Now let's go to the last errors, which are other errors, gray screen and red screen. Those are very common errors actually. If you go to the community and write gray screen over here, so let me write that gray screen. You can actually see that there are a lot of posts about gray screen. And why is that? The reason for that is the gray screen is very common, and there are two types of gray screen. So let me say that. So first thing is that you can actually get gray screen over here. I mean inside FlutterFlow itself. So when you're building your app, you can also get gray screen. They're very uncommon, but if you actually get a gray screen, I will actually recommend you to immediately post this into the GitHub issue. So this is the link that you have to post it over here. So like I said, if you get a gray screen into the app.flutterflow.io where you're building your app, I recommend you to make a screenshot and make a new issue over here, because this is like high priority issues for the FlutterFlow team, and they will fix this as soon as possible. And the other gray screen is actually when you run your app itself, and this is like a random post, or the first post that I opened. This is the gray issue, the gray box, sorry, I'm talking about. And like 99% of the time, the gray boxes will actually appear because there are no data. So for example, if you are trying to get data, like any kind of data, in this case I think those are meetings or appointments for the day, if you return a no value, it will actually give you a gray box. So that's why you always have to make sure that when you have a custom code, you're actually returning, you're not returning a custom code, or you're not getting also a custom code. So a good resource to make sure when you're using a custom code to not get a no, to implement a no safety is actually this video over here, learn how to implement no safety in FlutterFlow. So make sure you watch that as well if you don't know how to implement it. But yeah, as I said, 99% is no, because you're returning, or you're getting actually a no value. And the other error is actually red, as I said, red screen errors. There are actually two errors over here. The one is overflowing. This error is different than this one. So there are like two errors over here. So this one on the right, it's not actually an error, but it's just like a warning that is saying that your content is actually going outside of the box of the app itself, or the screen of the app itself. So you have to make sure that all the context is visible, because this will be like a part of the context that is not visible. And this is a UI error, and you can fix it with a length and the width and the height, sorry, of your content. But I'm not a UI guy, so yeah. But I mean, I cannot help you really much about it. But yeah, this is what I know about this error. But we're talking about those errors which are actually cannot read property of no. So you can see that most of the time, like 99% of the time, again, this would be because of a no value. And if you ask me what is the difference between this error and this error where both are getting no values, to be honest, I'm not sure, but I think right now most of the times you actually get the red screen and not the gray screen. And if you actually write a red screen, you actually see that there are a lot of posts about people complaining that they actually have a red screen. So let's see another example. Probably this is another example, and this is actually not a no safety in this case over here, but I think it's some kind of localization of the or translation of the app. So you have to read what is the actual error posted in the community if you can solve it yourself, and then we will try to help you. Also, a good resource when troubleshooting your apps is actually in the docs itself of FlutterFlow docs. And this is like for example they have like a article about the gray screen, so you can read about it. There's not an article about the red screen, but yeah, as I said, you can actually make a post over the community and we'll actually try to help you. So thank you very much. Before we actually go, I want to actually say thanks for watching, and every Wednesday I do live um, sessions, and I'm actually trying to answer all of your questions during the live sessions. So you're free to actually join. It is a free, and you can actually join those live sessions and ask your any questions that you have. So you can talk with each others, or you can actually write it in the chat. So thank you very much again, and stay safe and without any errors. Or if you have errors, let's hope that you fix them using this video. Thanks. Take care.